Hi, I am Stephanie Vance, VP of Research at AYTM, and I'm going to walk you through some of the more interesting findings from our sixth and seventh waves of our COVID-19 consumer tracker. We'll start with a quick check-in on concern levels, change perceptions, and outlook for the future, and then we'll do a deeper dive into consumer buying behavior. So starting out with concern levels, the proportion of Americans who say that they are extremely concerned about COVID-19 has actually dropped to 1/3 this week. And although overall concern is trending down, it does remain highest and the most elevated among our 30 to 44-year-olds. Health concerns are still pretty prevalent, and that is particularly true as it relates to older Americans. 4 out of 5 of us are concerned about the health of parents and grandparents. At this point, worries over the future of the U.S. economy persist and are at elevated rates and pretty consistently overtaking health concerns at this point. Such economic fears are particularly high among working generations. And when I say that, I really mean age 30 to 59. In the short term, so we're talking next 30 days, we're continuing to see that recent trend of optimism persist. More Americans continue to expect things to improve rather than to get worse. And related to that, we're seeing fewer working Americans reporting cuts to salaries or hours. To some extent, Americans are getting back to work. In the longer term, however, I think we're seeing this real dose of realism hitting Americans. When we started tracking, the expectation among consumers was that it would be around 6 months before things got back to normal. And over time, we've really seen this start to inch up and up until at this point, the average number is 9 months. So that's Americans telling us that they expect it to be 9 months on average before things in the US are back to normal. Related to this, Americans are really torn about the go-forward plan for COVID-19. Despite these easing restrictions and reopenings that are enacted in many states, we're really split on perceptions about this. We have these equal-sized camps saying it's the right time to be easing guidelines versus those who are saying it's just too early to be doing that at this time. So that's something that we're obviously going to continue to watch and report on and probably see shifts on over time. So turning now to consumer behavior. We do continue to see a pretty significant amount of brand switching, which I've been reporting on now for a while. It's highest for cleaning products, shelf-stable products, and foods, frozen foods. And in the past 2 weeks, we've started asking people what they plan to do in the future with regard to brand purchase after the pandemic is over. Are they going to go back to their original brands? Will they be purchasing a mix of old brands and new brands, or are they going to stick with these new brands they've been purchasing? And what's really interesting is that really, on average, fully half of consumers are telling us they're either going to continue to buy a mix or really stick with those new brands. So it's going to be a really interesting time for brands in the next few months if and as consumer behavior starts to normalize to really see where things ultimately net out for various brands. Finally, just a heads up that next week we are completely retooling our tracker. We actually just completed this and it's in field now to be more oriented towards the reopening of communities in America in general, rather than focusing on initial impacts and reactions to COVID and its original appearance and emergence in the US. So hopefully we'll have a totally new and fresh set of insights to bring to you at that time, because ultimately that's our goal, is to really have things that are relevant to share. Those are the highlights for this week, and of course we'll be distributing a new report next week. To download a copy of our report, you can visit our website, obviously, and if you do have any questions, you can certainly reach out to us, or if you're looking to conduct research of your own during this time, we're certainly here for that as well. Thanks.